Let's talk about one of the options we used when we set up the table of contents initially. Let's go back to this setup table of contents, and what I'm doing here is I'm right clicking on the component and I'm going to the setup table of contents. And we included heading 1, and later on we'll include at least one other heading, but what I want to draw your attention to is this create hypertext links checkbox, which we did check and we got. If you didn't check it, you can check it again, and the next time you generate it you'll get the links, but let's show you what that actually gets you. We'll cancel out of that because we didn't change anything, and let's view our text symbols. Now what you can see here, let me just zoom in a little bit, make this easier to see. I'm pressing escape Z I for zoom in, and you can see there's a marker at the beginning of each one of these paragraphs, and let's just see if we can grab this marker, and we'll go up here to insert marker so we can actually see it. Let's pull this up here. So what we got is we've got this kind of this weird syntax. It's called it's a hypertext marker, and it says open object ID, and it has the file name, and then it has this little number 2, and then it has a an identification number. And what this does is this allows us to use this for navigation. So if I press my Control and Alt keys and I hover over these, you can see that the cursor changes into this little pointy finger. So if I click on this, so let's pick one of these. Let's pick installing table cleaner. If I've got the Control Alt keys held down, and let me click, and you see it highlights, and then that'll actually take me to that paragraph in the document, and that's pretty handy. And that's how your links work when you make a PDF out of this. So if I make a PDF out of this this book, then those TOC entries will be links, and that's how that happens. It happens with that option in the Setup Table of Contents dialog box. So you have to choose that option, create hypertext links, and then it uses that marker syntax. And I'll show you a trick too. You can kind of toggle back and forth. If you press Control Tab, it'll actually take me back to the table of contents. So if I Control Alt click and then Control Tab, I can actually kind of switch back and forth here, which makes it kind of handy. And you can use this as your proofreading or just navigating. If you want to check your document, this is pretty handy. But the important thing is that when you make a PDF, you have to have that option. Now let's see where that actually comes from. And as usual, it comes from the reference pages. So that's what this paragraph is here. Now if you look in the lower left hand corner of the document window, you can see that that paragraph is tagged with active TOC, and that's just a hint to FrameMaker that says when you create your hypertext links, use this syntax. And again, we remember the marker content, open object ID, the relative path name or relative file name, a colon. The object type is a 2, and that's just saying point to a paragraph. Now if you did a list of elements, a list of markers, some other kind of list, then that number would be different. And then of course the ID of that object. And really you don't really have to know the ins and outs of this. It's just to be aware of that's what that means. Now if you were to delete this paragraph, you probably wouldn't get the link, so you want to leave that alone. Now you may be wondering what this is up here. This is if you're using structured frame and you're working with XML files. So it's the same thing, active TOC XML, and then this determines what that marker is going to look like. But for now, I mean, you don't really need to know those details, but I would suggest that you turn on generate hypertext links, because it just makes navigation easier, and it'll make sure that you have links when you create a PDF.